Moving on to sunny Florida. Let's hear from Eglin.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
All right, super. So, like Margaret said, welcome to sunny Florida. It's a little chilly. We're up in the Panhandle. I think when the meeting started, it was like 52 degrees. So I'm sitting outside bundled with my coffee. So I'm Jenna Carlson. I'm the president, and our first VP, Spiritual Life Justice, she's on with us. And so I really appreciate her being here. You could go to the next slide, please. So we are just about 20, 30 minutes north of Destin. So if you know where that is, we're in a great location. So we are at 7 Special Forces Group, and our chapel is Liberty Chapel. It's wonderful, and we are so blessed that it is actually open. Our theme this year is freedom, from 2 Corinthians 3:17, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And we have truly just embrace that, especially given what the environment's been with COVID and everything. So we have just been standing on the word, and we've been watching the Lord move, and he has been just like showing up and showing out. So like I said, we are so blessed that our chapel is open and we can meet in person. We have 4 in-person studies. We have Finding I Am, Lamb of God, 14 gospel principles that can radically change your family, and Luz en Teneblas. So that's our Spanish study. So we have 33 ladies who meet with us in chapel. And then we also have 2 virtual studies, and we have 13 ladies signed up there. And it's really been going well. We meet, all of our studies are on Tuesdays. And then also on Mondays, we offer a prayer Monday for ladies who aren't comfortable coming to a study at all, or because our studies are capped. And so we meet at the chapel playground. So kids are welcome, and it's just a time for prayer. It's 1 hour. And so our VP Spiritual Life Justice, she actually leads that. And that's been such a blessing to our ladies. So we have, right before our year started, our semester started, and right up until it started, our training coordinator, she led us through a book study called Leading Women Who Wound. And that was so incredible. She had the board members do it. And I'm telling you, if you've not read that book, you have got to read it. Encourage your board members to read it, do it together. There are so many great takeaways from it. And Justice and I, it has really helped us in how we're able to navigate some issues or some bumps in the road that we have come across. So I encourage you to do that, because it was such a blessing to us. We just had a ladies' night out. Oh, I'm sorry. I talk a little fast. It's called Leading Women Who Wound. I'm sorry. I'm a fast talker. Okay. So we just had a dinner out for our ladies' night out, and it was so fabulous. We had 11 ladies come, and it was really, really a great time. So coming up in the future, we have a paint night coming up, and that will be in the chapel, and we'll have childcare for that. And then our Thanksgiving program, Christmas program, and then next year, Easter program, and then of course, installation. So the executive board is going to be meeting on Monday, and we're going to just really dive in to see what spring looks like. So we'll have more details then. I think that's it. Okay, so next slide, please. All right, so as I've been listening to everybody, I was thinking, oh my gosh, we've had so many more successes, than what we have listed. So you guys, thank you so much for that encouragement. You spurred my mind. So of course, our biggest success is that we are able to be together. We realize, not everybody can be together, and we don't take that for granted at all. So that has been the biggest blessing. The next thing, our praise and worship. So our praise and worship girl, she doesn't play an instrument, but we have music playing. She sings along to the music. And I'm telling you, I have never felt the power of the Holy Spirit so heavily in our chapel. That has just been the premise of everything we do, Lord, that the ladies, nobody would see us, but that they would see you and they would feel you in a real and tangible way. And it's happening. And it's like the Lord has spoken to my spirit. Life is coming back to our chapel. It's amazing. So even though COVID, it seemed like it kind of screwed some things up, the Lord has just moved through it, because we know that he works all things for good. So another success, our numbers have been so steady because everything is capped. all of our childcare is capped because we do have childcare. Praise the Lord. We've got 35 kids in childcare. So everything is capped. And so the ladies who are coming, they are so committed, and we are so blessed by that. Our childcare, like I said, we do have it, but it has been cut by 50%. And so, of course, we do thermometer checks, everything. You can't come if you're sick. And it has been so great that the childcare has been cut by 50% because the moms feel more comfortable. Nanny Can provides our childcare. And so we have a contract with them with 7th Group. Thank you, Justice. So anyways, the moms, they feel so comfortable leaving their kids because there are less kids in the room. We've not had parents have to be pulled out to come and tend to, their little sweet babies. And it has been such a blessing. And the last thing for one of our successes that I want to touch on is our homeschool. We have a homeschool liaison, Jenny. She is so fabulous. And the Lord put in her heart to do a curriculum called Believe. And it has been amazing. We have the chaplains coming in, different chaplains on post, and they come in and they read to the kids and they're just ministering to them. And that is really thriving. And we're just so thankful. So in the beginning, for the struggles, I told Justice, what kind of struggles are we having? Because, we're so blessed, thank God, we have to wear a mask, maybe that's our biggest struggle. And I said, and sure as I say that, I know the devil's going to start working extra hard. And he did. So, of course, we have social distancing and wearing our mask, no big deal. But we did just get word yesterday that our second VP, she has to step down from her position due to family matters, and we support her 100%. So we're going to be, the rest of the executive board, we're going to be divvying out her responsibilities and navigating that way. So that's probably the biggest thing, but we're praying for all of you, and we appreciate all that you're doing. And we really truly believe that motto, we are workers together for Christ. So that's all I have. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And awesome to hear so many great success stories. And of course, we're all always praying for each other. We'll definitely be keeping you guys in prayer for your situation that just came up. And it's okay that you talk fast. Just want to remind you, everybody, ladies, it is 8 after 10, and we do have quite a few more groups to share. So please, it's okay to talk fast. As you're sharing, please try to keep it, to a minimum. So still hanging out in Florida. Let's hear from JC, or is Kelsey sharing, whichever one of you all.
Good morning. My name is JC Bostwick, and I am the president at Hurlburt Field, which is really close to Eglin. And I'm joined this morning by our brand new second VP of programs, Kelsey. She just stepped into that position. It's just such a huge blessing. So yay, Kelsey. So our group consists of 25 to 30 women regularly attending. And we started off this year in the summer with a very full board, and we spent time doing some training because none of the board, with the exception of myself, had ever had any PWOC training. So we had 2 different training sessions, practicing social distancing and things like that. And it was really great for our women to come together and kind of bond before we kicked off the year. So we did our kickoff this year. It was a drive-through kickoff in the chapel parking lot. And that was a real great success. We had about 13 to 15 brand new women join us. And we got to just shower our ladies with love. We had grab bag stations with some goodies that the board members donated. We had a kids section where people came and they had their kids that got a balloon and some arts and crafts to take home. We also had a merchandise table and a prayer station. And so that was a really great success. We are currently meeting on Zoom. We have a morning study and an evening study. And the book we're going through right now is Raised Together, which is a study through the book of Colossians. It seems to be a very, very good and in-depth study. I think one of the biggest struggles with doing a Zoom Bible study is just feeling connected. And I think sometimes people get on and keep their camera off and themselves muted, and they don't share. And so then other people feel maybe a little insecure, like, why aren't they sharing and who's actually watching? And so I think that kind of can create a little bit of discomfort. And so that's one of the biggest challenges we're facing when it comes to doing the Zoom Bible study. We are going to be finishing up this study in a couple of weeks, and then we only had about 5 weeks until our Christmas break. And so we prayed about it, and we decided to create our own study for the second half of fall. It's going to be a study based on our theme for the year, which is Thriving in Oneness, a study created by Titus 2 women in our lives. We reached out to them and asked for them to help us create this book focusing on our theme. And so we're going to dive deep into that, and I'm super excited for that, because not only is it just wise words from women of Christ, but it's also going to help to save some money financially, because we'll only have to pay for the cost of the materials to put the books together. We have not been able to meet since March, but we have done a couple of Zoom evening gatherings. We did Bible Jeopardy, which was a lot of fun. We did a paint night where we dropped off materials at people's houses and followed like a painter on the computer. And then we logged on to Zoom and shared our beautiful artwork afterwards. Discovered that some of us just aren't painters. And we've done a couple of other like dessert and chat nights, but we're super excited that our very first evening program is taking place next Thursday. We are going to be holding it at an off-base location, and it's going to be called, well, it's called A Recipe for Unity. We're going to be talking about what it means to be united in Christ, and we're going to be putting together a cookbook. So that's exciting. And what else do we have? Yeah, thank you for this slide. I forgot to say that. I would say that our biggest struggles, of course, are Zoom, and the chapel's not open. It just recently opened to Sunday worship, but it has not opened yet for Bible studies. And so kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen. Are we going to be able to meet together in person come springtime, or hopefully maybe even this later part of fall? Are we going to be able to have evening events there? Things like that. Also, I think finances. We're going to be having a ministry meeting for the whole chapel the first week of November. And I think we're going to receive some news about our finances. And so we're kind of just waiting to see what the Lord is going to reveal to us and how we should move forward. But some of the things that are going great is, y'all, the women here at Hurlburt, they have such a heart to serve others. And so during this time, we've been able to continue our outreach ministry of our blessing bags, which is available to anybody who gets sponsored by someone on base. If someone needs encouragement, if they're having a tough time due to deployment or sickness or just anything, they reach out to PWOC and we deliver a blessing bag. It's all donation based. It's just filled with items just aimed at encouraging and uplifting someone's spirits. We also started off a drive-by blessings ministry when COVID hit. And this is for our PWOC members. And so when we realize that someone's having a hard time and kind of struggling, we get together in a caravan. We have posters with scripture, encouraging things. We write notes, we get flowers. We did one close to Easter. We filled up little Easter eggs full of candy and Bible verses, and we like egged the yard. But we get together in a caravan and we drive and we stop at people's houses and we layer some worship music and we stand out front, socially distanced, and we sing praises over them and we talk from afar and just let them know that we remember them and we miss them. That's been a huge blessing as well. And then another thing that I think is going really well is our worship ministry person is also Kelsey. So she stepped up from just being our worship girl to also now being our programs person. And she's been weekly setting a playlist on Spotify for us as well that just kind of keeps the tone for the week of our study and what we're going through. And women have been able to connect and worship in that way as well. So that's kind of what's been going on here. It's been a real blessing to see. I think the women, they just have such a heart to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and you can just see that through everything that they're willing to do. And so it's been difficult with COVID, but we're making it work and we're trusting in the Lord and his promises for us. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I love the blessing bags and the drive-by blessings. That's so awesome. Next, moving up north slightly to Georgia, Fort Benning. Take it away.
All right, everybody. Hi. So my name's Cassie, or Cassandra. I'm the president up here in Fort Benning. So currently, I guess, first slide. So currently, we have a very small board, which has actually worked out very well. On the slide here, you see we have 105 ladies, though, attending all of our groups. So what we, in the very beginning, when COVID first started and we realized we couldn't do everything, or, it was unknown, I think God just worked out things, because we literally started out with 5 people on our executive board and we didn't grow up much more. We kept getting the feedback of keep it small, which allowed us actually to meet in person for all 5 of us, which worked out really well. And we came up with what some of you have talked about, your plan A, B, and C. We were like, are we going to be able to meet in the chapel? Is it going to be restricted? Are we only going to be able to do Zoom? So God knew all those answers. And amazingly, our second VP, she actually went ahead in the beginning. She's like, Cassie, God's put it on my heart to just teach the book of Colossians for the fall, and then Ephesians for springtime. And God kept telling me, the word for me was connect. So we have brought it back to like old school church. We're doing in-home groups. So we have our facilitators who have opened up their homes. So we have 13 in-home connect groups spread out between the 105 ladies, which amazingly, that's actually kind of what the average attendance ends up being in like the middle of the year. So I see that as a huge plus. We have one Zoom group that I lead because there's actually, there's some women that just can't make any groups. They're just for various different health reasons. They don't want to be around other people. As our post just became HepCon B+. So our chapel just opened by reservation only. So we're still kind of really limited. So I guess next slide. So like I said, our fall semester, we're studying the book of Colossians. Our VP, Amanda, wrote it using the 5-day outline from the Navigators, if you're familiar with it, of 1 day is listening, 1 day is reading, 1 day is study, 1 day is memorize and meditate, and then apply. So she made these little workbooks, and it worked out because our budget kind of got cut, so we lost a lot of our funding. So it worked out that she already had this in the works, so we didn't end up having to use a lot of our funds buying books and everything else. We worked our butts off to get these things done, but we did a drive-through kickoff and handed out little bags. So we handed out these little bags. We did a drive-through, 2 of them. We did a muffins in the morning and brownies at night. So in their bag, they got their little workbook. They got like a little box of 101 blessings, and then a notebook, and then an old girlfriend of mine from another base, she used to make bookmarks for all of our Bible studies. So I reached out to her, and at first she was like, oh, sure, I think I can get 30 of them done. And I'm like, I think we kind of need like 100. So she somehow, again, Lord provided for the fact that she was able to cut out 100 bookmarks, and these is what they look like. They're like quilted kind of. Somehow she makes them really fast, but somehow she got 100 of them out of the same piece of fabric. So it's kind of cool to be able to tell our ladies that even though we're separate, this is one way that we're all connected. It all came from one piece of fabric. So we've had some struggles, even though our board was really small. We lost our programs person, our second VP, and then also our admin administrative. There was a lot of spiritual warfare going on in the group, and it was rough, but we got over it, and I think we're all better for it, and everybody's healed from that now. So some of our things that weren't going so well, like I said, our budget cut. Obviously, we can't provide the childcare. We don't have the location. So in the home groups, we were capped at 15 people originally, like 15 people total in the home. So some people have actually worked out with their neighbors that the children go to the neighbor's house, and then the ladies can go to their house. So we're not hitting our numbers. I've had a lot of nice ICE forms that I've had to submit to be able to meet with some of our post installation people to find out what we can do, as obviously I got a lot of no's for a long time, and then finally doors started opening to allow us to do things. So things are going well. We have great chaplain support. Having our small board's actually been really helpful because then we can still meet. Like I said, we're at our average attendance. And so we're going to be, as of right now, our plan for the spring is to be studying Ephesians, and it's going to be the same way. Amanda's already gotten the curriculum written up. So whether we have to meet in person or separate, we can still figure it out. On the previous slide, I should have mentioned, there's a picture of the cute little white house. Typically in ours, we have tables in the back. So after like worship and everything else, everybody else actually goes to little tables in the back. And this was meant to be the centerpiece for our tables. Amanda, her dad actually made all these cute little white houses. She had this vision that God just kept telling her for the ministry of availability. And she's a very big, she's teaching me a lot to learn, making sure like how to focus on our relationships of obviously what is your relationship with God, what's your relationship with your spouse, kids first, and kind of like go down the line. And so this house was supposed to symbolize our relationships at home first, because how can we be a light to the rest of the world if things at home aren't going great? So we're trying to focus and encourage people of how can we pray for your relationship with your spouse? How can we pray for your relationship with your kids? And then kind of outwards. And then that way, like the doors are open so people can see the light that we have, but we obviously can't shine a light if things at home aren't that great. So the cool thing with all these cute little houses is each of our home groups, we were able to give them one of these. So it's a visual reminder in their connect groups. And then hopefully if we're able to meet back in person, it can be a visual reminder that we're all coming back together and it's something familiar. So I think that's pretty much it. So thank you.
That's so awesome. The houses, the bookmarks, and most importantly, that y'all got the focus that it's on relationships. Thank you so much. And moving on to a little colder area up in Illinois. Take it away.
Good morning. My name is Pam Angel, and I'm here at Scott Air Force Base. I'm an Army wife at an Air Force base, so it's been quite interesting. You can do the next slide. So we had to think out of the box. Our chaplain did say we could meet in person. Our cap is 30 people in the building. So we're offering morning and evening Bible studies on Tuesday morning, and we're offering from 9 to 11 and then the evening because we have no childcare. And all of our kids have been remote here in Illinois. The elementary kids just started back this week. And so this provided opportunities for the moms to come at night when the dad was home. Kind of what we're doing is we're doing the same thing in the morning and night. We're opening with prayer. Because we aren't doing worship, we're doing a little bit more icebreakers and get to know you activities during the main meeting. So we've been doing like fun games. One of our favorites was everybody got in a group and listed 5 simple meals, and then we posted it on our Facebook page. And so that was really fun, just talking about different brainstorming things. We also have our devotion, and we're trying to provide the same devotion. So if the person's a morning attender, then we record it for the evening and vice versa. So the ladies get to see the same devotion and everything. We're offering 3 Bible studies in the morning, Finding God Faithful, Lord, Give Me a Heart for You, and Everyday Theology in the morning. And then the evening, we're doing In His Image and Lord, Give Me a Heart for You. And then we're also offering a Wednesday night virtual class that has been great for the ladies, and it also partners with the chapel because they offer Protestant Family Night, and so we're offering that through them. Next slide. Our kickoff this year was on September 8th, and we set up tents on our campus, and we offered the Bible studies, and in our gift bags we offered really cool PWOC masks that we had made from a local vendor, and we had our t-shirts made with which is Growing in Unity Through TLC, Truth, Love, and Calling. And it was found in Ephesians 4:15 and 16. And it gave the ladies just a chance to get to know the Bible study facilitators and stuff. And the cool thing about offering the morning and the evening, we've actually grown in numbers this year because some women that homeschool haven't been able to come because we've never had a homeschool room, and other people like that. So our numbers are actually up. We're averaging about 40 in person, and then we had the virtual, that's about 10, I think. Also, for the first time, we almost have a full board, which is huge because they haven't had that in years. So we've really enjoyed having a full board, and I've had Amanda Pinkstaff that's here doing the training for the ladies on our board, because many of them, this is their first time ever serving on a board. We also have programs for Christmas and spring kickoff and then Easter and installations. Some things that are going well is just we're really being able to meet others. Our chapel advisor, he was on here earlier, he has just been a great supporter of us and trying to really fight for us. And so he has slowly been pushing for us to meet in person, knowing that meeting in person is good for the ladies and it really helps them. And so he, about a month ago, they said we could start serving coffee. So it felt like a little bit more like a normal meeting. And then yesterday, he just told us that we could serve prepackaged food. So we're slowly getting back to kind of like a little bit of a normal PWOC. So, but it's just been baby steps. So the cool thing is our board sees the baby steps, and we're just praising God for each little step that's being provided along the way. And then our concern that's been very difficult is I came in and how it was being run here locally wasn't really following the women's ministry manual, because they've only been having about 5 board members typically. And so they were overworked and tired, and one of the girls was continuing and she wanted to quit because it was just too much. And so I went back to the women's ministry manual and restructured things with Amanda's help. And I've a little bit of pushback from the retirees that that's not how we do it. And so just the chaplain advisor has been very well supporting us to just get things back to what we the women's ministry manual has said, and he's been a huge support of how can we think out of the box, and always asking us what is the way we can minister. And so the next slide shows a way that we thought out of the box. We the chapel provided tickets for the families to go to the Eckards family farm that's close to here. And so they provided, we asked for 100 tickets, and we actually had 135 family members go to Eckards Family Fun last weekend. And there's another slide with just more pictures. And so it was just a way for us to get out of the chapel and fellowship with other people and see families and meet husbands and kids since we haven't been able to see it. So that's just kind of something that has been really amazing. Last year, they only bought 70 tickets. And so it's really neat that God is really growing the ministry here, even through COVID. And we're just so thankful to be a part of it, to watch God move.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I think it's a great testimony to show how COVID, some groups are going down in numbers, but others are going up. That's so encouraging. And moving on now to Fort Knox. Carol Beganic and team, take it away.
Thank you, Margaret. If you'll go to the next slide, please. Good morning, ladies. My name is Janae Didd.
Hi, and I'm Lauren Madsen.
And we are the co-chair VPs of programs for Fort Knox. On the left-hand side of the screen is our tagline and theme verse graphic for this year. Like Margaret, you actually mentioned earlier in her intro, we are holding fast to Christ during these uncertain times while still considering, meeting, and encouraging one another. And we started doing this with our fall kickoff. But before we get into that, we have a body of about 90 ladies that we serve. And due to COVID-19, we are meeting in small groups for recorded worship from our incredible worship team, and then also for Bible study. And currently we have about 11 Bible studies in person and also via Zoom, meeting at various times, locations, and days of the week. And so for our fall kickoff, what we launched this year is we did actually a drive-through at one of our on-post churches parking lots, where we set up pop-up tents. We had tables, balloons, some bubbles to kick off the year. And then we also put together some PWOC swag bags to pass out. And those really blessed our PWOC sisters. And then we also were able to do a newcomers breakfast. And this was hosted for all the new ladies. We had several new ladies coming this year. And so we had actually about 40 ladies attend, including our board, facilitators, hostesses, and caregivers, whom we have in our small group design. And then we were also able to decorate our PWC event with an awesome balloon arch. We had paper flowers, and of course, tons of PWC swag. We were able to supply breakfast food items, icebreaker activities, and lots of fun and fellowship. So it was just a really good time for the ladies to see each other, to truly connect, and God really moved. Next slide, please.
So what is our spring plans? Well, we've got already in the works our spring kickoff in January, and we are looking to do a workshop day in February. And God willing, we are really hoping to do our spring retreat in March, so we can actually get together. And as far as things going well, God is so good here. He has really blessed us with being able to think outside the box. Though we're not able to participate together as a body, we have some great participation in our Bible studies and our event attendance. Our Bible studies are meeting in homes and in Zoom. And when we do have our events for our programs, we're able to get a nice turnout of ladies who are just so eager to bless all the other ladies in our PWOC. We are just enjoying encouraging each other in our faith, and just encouraging doing life together right now despite COVID. So that is really one of our main concerns, is just COVID, how we had to get together and figure out how we're going to still meet, even if we couldn't all meet together as one body. So we are still meeting in the small groups as it allows, but our other difficulty is having some of our women's children are still going to in-person school, and the schools are shutting down. And so the women who have graciously hosted their homes are not able to host their homes anymore because their children are needing to quarantine. So that kind of affects our Bible studies, and then just trying to, how can we still keep the Bible studies going without having our hostess anymore. But other than that, we are just ready for what God has, and we're just staying in constant prayer with one another, and just trying to just meet together and just work with these ladies. So yeah, that's all we got.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I miss you guys, by the way. I just PCS from Fort Knox, those of you that don't know. So we are on to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Jennifer Cook, take it away. And ladies, also please, keep an eye on the clock there and try to keep them short and sweet. Thank you, Knox. You did an awesome job. Sorry, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, take it away.
Hi, ladies. I'm Jennifer Cook, VP of Spiritual Life. We are, next slide.
Whoops. There we go.
You're good. Okay, so we're doing discipleship this year. Our tagline, Be One, Make One. We're using the Great Commission. God's been faithful to provide all the things for this year, which has been awesome to see all this play out. We're being flexible as we go, and we're actually adding things along the way. We have 165 ladies attending just the studies. The previous year was 270, so there is a drop from COVID. Our fall studies are Follow Me, Unexplainable Jesus, God of Creation, Discerning the Voice of God, Sabiduría de Dios para la Vida de las Mujeres by Elizabeth George for our Spanish study. We have meeting at the chapel. We have to wear masks and social distance. The main chapel there, we have 4 groups who meet there throughout the week. The Spanish study lady, she realized about 4 weeks into it that she wanted to add a Zoom because there were so many ladies that couldn't come. So she's being flexible there. The lady who runs the lunch studies, she does Zoom and in-person, like a hybrid thing. So she has a Zoom hooked up so ladies can also be a part that way. We have another Zoom. I wanted to actually get 2 regular Zoom ones going. We only had enough people to help out for just one. And then a couple weeks ago, well, actually a week ago, we started a Facebook discussion group online so that ladies who are virtual schooling or they needed something that was just low commitment, they could be a part that way. And that's going really well. We got 20 ladies to sign up for that. And let's see here. So we have home studies going on too. We have three of those groups meeting, and we have about 6 to 8 ladies that meet in those. Some of them have 10. So that's been really, really great to see all of that happen. So next slide. Okay, so our meeting format, we're in person, like I said. We have no corporate time. We decided to just go with the Bible studies. We have no childcare because of COVID restrictions, but kids can be with their moms. We do have a school age room for the kids, which is virtual or homeschool kids. We're using the Wi-Fi puck for the chapel. And we're putting out online devotionals each week. Between 18 and 60 ladies end up watching the whole video. The views, though, are 143 to 507 because it, tracks it differently. We are only meeting, I already said we were social distancing and masks. We actually went for a limited meeting time because we can meet for however long we wanted to, but we did limited time because we wanted to limit the time ladies were in their masks. And we had our kickoff was September 8th, and it was just corporate time and Bible study sign up. We also did online signups with that as well. Let's see here. So our kickoff and programs are going to be unpacking the Great Commission, which is our theme verse, and the ladies are going to use skits to encourage theme verse for the Great Commission. And let's see. We have program days, I think 3 times only each semester, and all of our programs will be live streamed. So what we're doing in the spring is we have our spring study already planned. Some of them might change, it just depends. We have bought 2 of them, and we're hoping and praying for regular meetings, regular full meetings with childcare. But we're going to be flexible no matter what. That's kind of been our key, being really flexible and just kind of rolling with things and adding things as we go if we need to. We have added life groups this week, which are going really great. We have our in-reach and outreach events that operate through that. We've had backroom blessings, which I didn't write on here, but where ladies would come to the chapel and we'd have leftovers from the PX that were handed out to people for free. And we've also done the same thing through our regular meeting time and just had people kind of like bring all your stuff that you don't want and just a free giveaway for whatever people want. Then we're gonna have hopefully an in-house retreat. I don't think we can do one this fall, but hopefully maybe we can, I don't know. It won't be overnight and we don't have any details on that just yet. Things that are going well, we have our Zoom and Facebook discussion group have the largest number of signups for all of our studies. The home studies are great because the ladies don't have to wear masks and they're still being careful, but they don't have so many restrictions that we do at the chapel. And our life groups that we've started this year are giving the ladies extra time for fellowship. So we're just encouraging the ladies to get involved as much as they can. And to be a part where they can, to hopefully just stay plugged in one way or another. So we're trying to offer all the options. And concerns and struggles, I think, are the same as for most of you all, which is no childcare. Some of you do have that, but that issue alone cuts our numbers a lot. And we had a couple of ladies test positive for COVID in one of our classes, so we went to Zoom for 2 weeks for that class, but they didn't make us shut down completely, which was a blessing. but that also caused a couple of ladies to be hesitant to come. And so we might be trying to offer Zoom with some of the classes for ladies who might not want to come one week, but we're kind of seeing if that will be worth it or not. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple things I picked up on, real important. Love your life groups and how you said that that helps ladies stay plugged in, and to be flexible no matter what. That's key for all of us. So moving on from the East Coast to further west, New Mexico. Take it away, Leah.
Yeah, so the next slide. All right, so we're in Albuquerque, and we actually had to change locations completely. The chapel doesn't have Wi-Fi, and since that was one of the bigger things that we had to be able to supply, we ended up having to move into the old BX, the Gravity, the Airman Council, Ministry Council uses that for their events that they have. So anyways, we piggybacked onto their facility, but it gives us actually more capabilities. It gives us Wi-Fi, obviously, but it also gives us a larger capacity that we can use. So we do average about 30 ladies in person. And then we also have a Zoom option. And so we've been doing about, I don't know, I think 16 or so on Zoom. And the Zoom, we'll get to that in a little bit, but the Zoom has really actually opened up a huge option for ladies for us, and it's great. So we've always met Wednesday mornings. And so because we had to think outside the box this year, we did have to switch it to Monday nights because we do not have childcare. And so that was a little tricky, and it caused some people to, there's a little bit of pushback, but change is not always bad. And so we've noticed that. So we don't have childcare, we meet Monday nights. So we decided, because there were so many issues that we were running into, that we would all just do one study together. And so we did, our theme is Made to Worship from Psalms 145, and specifically honing in on verse 10, where it says that all your works praise you, your faithful people extol you. And so we wanted to get a sense of this. We're made to worship, but to do it together. And so we're all going through the same studies at the same study at the same time. And so the first book we did was Living a Life of True Worship by Kay Arthur. Such a good book. Just learning what worship is. And then now we've just last week, I think, a week before, segmented into our second book for this semester, which is what hinders us from worship. So we learned what worship was. Now what hinders us, we're going through the Respectable Sins book by Jerry Bridges, because again, sin is what hinders worship. And again, so good. And so then continue that. Then in the spring, we're going to do a Names of God study. Kay Arthur has another really good one. So I think we're going to do hers. Our spiritual life is working. We're working closely together because we only have one study that we want to do corporately together. We do want to make it as close to the theme as possible, but then just make it as meaty as possible too, because we don't have time for fluff. So our format, it's been interesting. So we do a 30-minute corporate time together. Again, our theme, like Made to Worship. So we want to hone in on what this means and what this does. So we've created a purposeful worship segment. And so every week we do a different form of worship. So one week we'll sing, one week we'll do testimony, right? Because what better way to worship God than to share what he's done in your life? And so then the next week we'll do scripture reading, because that worshiping God back with his own words. And so there's testimony and worship. Speaking, we had a speaker come and do 20 minutes of teaching truth. Because again, just worship. Different components, because we got to get away from the whole idea that singing is what worship is, right? We are responsible for our own worship. The preacher, the music director, our music person is not responsible for our worship. We are. So it's been such a great encouragement to do this all together. And then we break off into our studies. So we have 6 small groups, and then we also one online. And here's where the Zoom thing has been so great. Because anybody who can't come, because we're all doing the same study, right? They've never done this before at the Kirtland PWOC is doing all the same study. Oh, that's not true. I heard 7 years ago they did. But if you can't come, we're all doing the same study. We're all in the same chapter, right? And so this is like mind-blowing to us because it's been so great. So we do fluctuate. The Zoom fluctuates greatly. One week it's 6 people. We had 16 the other day because of some, issue that came up. So anyways, it's been really, really very encouraging. So if you go to the next slide. So our programs, they've been so, I mean, we've had one, the kickoff so far, but the programs, gosh, it's the same as last year and just did such a good job. So we took Psalms 145 and broke it into 6 segments, and then each speaker will speak on a different aspect of that, but just really honing in on worship. The things that are going well, I would say we have a lot of, part of our struggles is, and I'm jumping around here and I'm sorry about that, but we had a lot of issues last year internally with the staff. And so that's the chapel staff. And so this year, there's definitely there's more connection between our sponsor chaplain, which is great. We have so much support from him. The problem is we're now having to back up a little bit as far as trusting the chapel and what it stands for. So, or what it's available for too. But the things that are going really, really well are we've had to refocus what we want to do as far as outreach, because we can't meet in groups larger than 5 now because of the new government restrictions, and we can't go to people's they don't want us going into people's homes because they don't want to have a bunch of cars in the parking lot and cause some kind of red flag. So in reach outreach, we've really focused on the dorm dwellers, especially those that cannot go home. So we did candy for them. For Halloween, we just gathered a bunch of candies that they have aspects, or they have availability for candy. We're trying to define the meal for Thanksgiving because they're not letting them necessarily go home for Thanksgiving. And so we're just trying to meet them and find out how our in-reach outreach is going to be way more focused on the dorm dwellers this year. Our chapel liaison set up a mentor program this year. We thought, well, maybe, everybody's starving for fellowship. So we thought, well, maybe this would be something. We had 6 ladies jump on that immediately. And that has been such a blessing within our group. Again, the 7 studies, dropping it down to 1 has been so wonderful just for this unity. And then, of course, the online option creates consistency. So if you can't be there in person, you hop on there. And then this purposeful worship segment that we have, right? It's not the same people that they see all the time. The scripture reading, we had one of the study groups, one of the tables, the facilitator and her 6 ladies that were at her table, they read Isaiah 40. And so all 7 ladies, their little faces were up there, so it wasn't the same people over and over again. So I'm just so thankful it's just gone so well. We're just so thankful. We did do a bunch of GNOs during the summer that went really well. We did drive-in desserts, where you bring your own dessert. We drove in, we parked in a circle, and we opened our tailgates up, and we just sat there, and we'd average about 13 to 14 ladies. And so drive-in desserts was a really great thing because we were just all starved for a fellowship. Our concerns, though, is this whole fear of the unknown and this lack of commitment. But I cannot tell you how much God has met us in this, because what do we worship? Do we worship fear? Or do we going to worship our own insecurities? Or are we going to look outside of that and focus in on that God is in control, even if we're not? So even in our struggles, we just see the theme, just keep pressing on this made to worship. And then a lack of commitment, right? It's hard. And so if you can't meet in or in person, why even bother? We've heard that too. There's just, why commit to something that might get closed down? And we just keep pressing in on that, because what do you worship, right? It's just been so good. God has been so good. And then the chapel staff is another concern and a struggle, right? We have new chapel staff now, and they're fantastic and they're really supportive, but last year was a mess. And so there's a lot of ripple effect on that. So we've just been so blessed. This year's been great. Yes, it's been a struggle, but there's pain and growing pains, and but change is good. And we've been really excited to see how ladies are growing, right? Because our main concern is spiritual growth, not necessarily numbers. So that's it.
Thank you. You hit it on the nose about the spiritual growth is the most important. I think it's also neat how your group and other groups talked about how actually just having one study this year brought the body together. So moving on. We now are going to hear from Carlisle Barracks, where your leaves are changing beautiful colors. Take it away, Mary.
Good morning. I'm actually Teresa Denton. I'm the second VP of Programs, but Mary Pace is here. She's one of our fearless first VP co-leads. Next slide, please. So here at Carlisle Barracks, we're home to the Army War College, which means students are transitioning in and out of here every year. So of our membership, roughly half represents student spouses, and then we're anchored in the other half by retired or local ladies as well. We've been very fortunate to be able to continue to meet for all of our programs and weekly sessions in person and in Zoom ever since we began in September. What we've been able to do to allow continued corporate time is we do our praise and worship portion in the chapel sanctuary itself, where the staff had already marked out seating that was adequately spaced. So with 3 ladies in a pew, every other pew, we're able to accommodate quite a few people. And then our president will dismiss from that portion by Bible study class. So we don't have a big group of people leaving at any one time to go to their classrooms for Bible study. And that has seemed to work very, very well. We are doing 6 different studies on our Thursday mornings with 1 evening study, and all of them has been both in person and by Zoom as well. What allowed us to do a big kickoff this year was taking advantage of multiple spaces within our chapel area. So we started out corporately in the sanctuary, and because we have a 50-50 kind of population, we were able to put new folks on one side, our legacy ladies on the other side, and that allowed us to do a really nice staggered dismissal to allow the new ladies to go sign up for Bible studies first, one-way traffic flow so we're not butting heads back and forth. And then our legacy ladies could go ahead and start on our fellowship lunch. By ordering boxed lunches from Panera, we were able to accommodate food and outdoor seating, making it a safe environment for people to be able to have fellowship. But we did recognize there were a number of people who didn't want to be there in person for the whole thing. So after the main kickoff wrapped up, we opened up the Bible study area for people who wanted to drive up, pop in, sign up for Bible study and leave. And we also offered an all virtual sign up for online as well. For programs, we just completed our fall retreat 2 days ago. We were so fortunate to have a lovely venue here, take advantage of those leaves, Margaret, that allowed 4 of us to meet in person for all day. And then we had another 20 join us on Zoom, so very well attended. We have our Christmas program coming up too, which we plan on using a similar format to our fall program as far as dismissal and using different locations. But since it's going to be too cold to be eating outside, we thought we would take boxed lunches back to our Bible study rooms, and it could be a type of farewell within the small group study ideas. Now, 2 kind of sub-events we're planning in between those 2 are we're going to work on 21 days of prayer, the days leading up to our national election. We have volunteers signed up each day to specifically pray over our nation. And we're also picking a program date in November where we can specifically highlight that this is the 65th anniversary of PWOC this year, and thinking of encouraging our ladies to dress in 50s attire to honor our origin decade. And after we come back from Christmas break, we couldn't decide if we wanted to call it a winter kickoff or a spring kickoff. So kind of along the lines of not taking ourselves too seriously this year, I think we're going to call it a wing it kickoff. We may even have some wings there and just get all messy and put some bibs on. So between then and installing our new members in May, our big event will be honoring 4 Chaplains Day. If you haven't heard of this story, it's 4 chaplains of different denominations who are all on the same ship bound for Europe during World War II, and the ship sank. Our chapel here in Carlisle Barracks actually has a beautiful stained glass memorial to them. There's a specific Sunday dedicated to honor them in February, and we are going to do a joint program with our Catholic women at the chapel so we can learn that story and worship together. Next slide, please. By far, one of our biggest successes is tech. We are so blessed to have a lady who's been willing to learn what she didn't know, teach others, and be there every step of the way. So being able to live stream, record, and teach all the Bible study leaders to do the same for their study classes has been a huge benefit. The hybrid model itself has really allowed us to sustain attendance at about 60 every single week and keep things predictable. The chaplain and the POSTA folks have been very good about making sure we're still operating within necessary precautions, and ladies have been saying they've been feeling comfortable continuing to meet in person. We've had no issues. We've also not had childcare either. Thank you for the pointers from some of you who have been able to keep that going. We did decide to do away with that coffee and the snacks every single week, which we're kind of missing, but it's really helped to streamline things and prevent people from gaggling in the hallways. But when we have had food for the programs, having everything individually packaged has made a huge difference. As far as struggles that we're facing is, without that coffee and donut time, how do you deliberately incorporate fellowship in a way that's safe? And also just making sure that we're not too focused on numbers for any one event as we're going through. And we're also wondering if there's some other ideas out there about how we can better outreach to some of our older and non-tech savvy members. That's something we feel like we're continuously working through. I would also love to hear from some ladies during the Q&A about how you're doing music. We've been encouraging people to leave masks on during singing, and there's some resistance to that, so I'd love to hear some ideas on that forefront. That is all from Carlisle Barracks today.
Thank you, Teresa. Awesome, appreciate it. 65th anniversary PWOC, awesome plug there. For Chaplain's Day, my husband's a chaplain. That's really important to us. Moving on to Home Sweet Home, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Sherry and Michelle, hey friends.
Good morning. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity. My name is Sherry Williams. I'm the president, and I have Michelle Gramling, our VP of Spiritual Life, with us this morning. We are 2 out of 5 executive board members that are filled on our board. So we still have a lot of space to go on our executive board, but our extended board has been incredible. Our board total at this point is 10, with the 11th being our incredible chaplain sponsor, Chaplain Jennifer Cooper. Next slide, please. I'm going to let most of this slide speak for itself, but I want to spotlight a couple of things. Our fall kickoff was an incredible event. We had an off-post, outdoor, in-person kickoff event. It was an open house style where each of our board members had a table, and the participants came and they could move throughout the tables, see all of the different things that we had available to participate in our PWOC. I was especially thrilled that 12, which is the vast majority of the people who came, were newcomers to Fort Jackson. And we also had MOPS represented at our kickoff. We have worked very hard to establish the relationship with what is our new program of MOPS here at Fort Jackson. Brittany Darensberg is the MOPS coordinator, and MOPS is actually how PWOC is going to partner with to minister to the drill sergeant spouses who are going to be our younger moms with children. You can see in the center there what our current program looks like for the fall semester. We do have 2 Zoom Bible studies, and we're utilizing our Thrive groups, which is what we call our life groups, as our in-person fellowship right now. And that's the interest-based groups that you can see listed there. We recently, praise God, have been given the permission to begin the in-person Christian education portion of the chapel ministry at Fort Jackson. And rather than completely restructuring our fall plans, we have kept the plans as they were permitted under the previous restrictions, but added a November and December in-person program event. We currently have no childcare available, which doesn't impact the PWOC women very much based on our survey responses, but it greatly impacts the MOPS program. And so we want to see how we can come alongside of them to help women of young moms, and that is a way for PWOC and MOPS to partner together. If you could go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, great. Our VP of Spiritual Life, Michelle, she did an incredible job of working over the fall to, I just want to make sure, can you hear me okay, Margaret?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. Michelle did an incredible job of spending the time working to get our business as usual Bible studies put together for the fall. She did have to do plan B, C, D, and she came up with having a Merry Spirit and God on the Battlefield, which is actually a Bible study written by and facilitated by our chaplain sponsor, again, Chaplain Jennifer Cooper. We currently have 14 women participating in our daytime Zoom Bible study that Michelle is facilitating. We have 9 women participating in the evening Zoom Bible study that Chaplain Cooper is facilitating. The things that are going well, I really want to draw attention to a couple of them. The first one is our legacy moments. So our historian, Mari Yarber, I actually have worked with her to really expand her position on our board this year, to focus in on the history and legacy of PWOC and passing that on to the women in our group. So with this being the 65th anniversary, as has been mentioned before, Mari has just taken the ball and run with it. And she has been connecting with women of old, women of young, and she puts together weekly legacy moments. And most of them have been done in video format, and they are posted on our Facebook page. But she is bringing that history and legacy every week, and just it is one of my favorite things this year. Along with that, I want to thank Fort Bragg for actually being an inspiration to me, because I saw their YouTube channel, and so we created a YouTube channel where all of the videos that are posted on Facebook, we download them onto YouTube. And I also created a newsletter. And so for Teresa, what you asked, how do we minister to women who are not tech savvy or on social media? And so we use a weekly newsletter, which has a link to our YouTube channel, and all of the material that we download and post on our Facebook page gets put into the newsletter and emailed once a week. We did implement a Facebook schedule, which I highly recommend to everyone. For us, I worked with Crystal Nyhoff to understand how Facebook is best optimized. And we have 3 posts 5 days a week. It's a pretty full schedule, and it's scheduled out amongst all 10 of our board members. And all of that material is what is funneled also to YouTube and to our newsletter. Again, so some of the concerns are the fact that we have no childcare. Again, that mostly impacts MOPS, but that is going to be some of our most at-risk women who desperately need the fellowship of the saints. And MOPS really is where the unchurched and sometimes unbelieving young women are gravitating toward. And so PWOC really wants to come and support that. Moving forward into the spring, because we do have permission to go to our weekly in-person meetings, just making the mental and detailed shift from our virtual ministry back to our regular ministry. So we covet your prayers for that. Thank you, ladies, very much for the time.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. First of all, I want to say we're not finished with all the groups, but I do know that it is 11:04, and we told you it would go till 11. So like I said in the beginning, I appreciate some flexibility and understanding as we navigate these uncharted waters. Never have done this before. So we do have 3 more groups to share. So we really hope that you can stay on to hear those. We want to be able to get this recording completed and post it for everybody. So we feel like the best course of action is to keep going with these 3 presentations and still do an abbreviated version of our Q&A after they are finished. So for anybody who needs to get off, we totally understand, but we really hope if you have some extra time this morning or afternoon that you can hang with us just a little bit longer for our last few presentations and our Q&A as well. So without any further ado, moving on to Fort Belvoir.
Hey, Margaret, you can go and go to the next slide. Glad that Margaret's here with us now, and Sierra is also on the meeting today, so very thankful for that. And I'm from Alabama, but I talk really fast, so this is going to be a super short presentation, so smile. Much like a lot of other people, we adopted the PWOC theme of one, and we are emphasizing the we are one. We are at Fort Belvoir, and we are right here next to Washington, D.C. So it's a highly politically volatile area, and unity is kind of key. We also have about 40% of our body, which is usually about 100 women. 40% of those are retirees, and they've been here for decades, some of them 3 decades. And so unity is really the key. So we're using Women of the Word as our one Bible study across all of our women. We're completely virtual right now. We do a Zoom meeting. We call it the big meeting, and we do that every Thursday morning from 10 to 10:40. We try to start off with a song sometimes, but our women have decided that they like another part of this morning. So I make announcements. We do an embedded teaching video, either using Jen Wilkins or Jennifer Wake, who's not here today, but she moved to our area and she actually wrote all of our homework for the Women of the Word study. And so she teaches when Jen Wilkins doesn't have content covered. And then we break into rooms using Zoom breakouts, and I just do those randomly and random sizes even, just kind of depending on what I'm feeling the day of the meeting. And it's become one of the favorite times of the meeting. So the women go together for usually 10 minutes, sometimes 15, and they can talk about whatever they want to talk about, but they really, really enjoy that part of our Zoom meeting. And then at 10:40, we shut that down, and some of our small groups start meeting at 10:45. We use both Zoom and Jitsi. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jitsi Meet, but it is a free application that you can use. It's very similar to Zoom, but it has no time limit. So we have some groups that meet for 40 minutes, which is really helpful to moms who are trying to manage schooling, and the ones who can linger for a little bit longer, they use Jitsi. So it's Jitsi actually. Well, we can type that into the chat. Sierra can do that for us. We close in prayer. We have one of our longstanding members closes us in prayer. So next slide. We actually have about 8 meetings that are going on right now, which is pretty fantastic. We have 4 that are immediately after our big meeting, and then we have another one that's at 1 o'clock, and one's at 4 o'clock, and one's on Friday morning, and one's on Tuesday night. And so the total virtual format and totally using one book has thrown a lot of people for a loop, but they're attending. So we have 85 people registered, 40 or so, 30 to 40 attend our big meeting, and then about 50 people are attending our small groups, and we don't know what's happening to the other 30. And so that we just talked about it in our board meeting yesterday. That's our next area of reach out, is to try to figure out what's happening to those ladies who signed up but are not participating. So a couple of our challenges here, we have new leadership at both the garrison level and the chapel, which we had all decided we're going to continue to follow the Fairfax County schools, because that's what we do here at PWOC. When they close, we close. But we have a new garrison commander and a new chaplain who decided that they wanted us to meet in person. So we're working through that. We have a very, very amazingly supportive chaplain advisor, and we could not be doing what we do right now without him. So I'm very thankful for Chaplain Akers. If any of you guys know Dean, he's just great. Yeah, we have no watch care for now. They keep on telling us, we're bringing watch care back. We have 40% retirees, but those 60% of our women who are not retirees, they have a lot of kids. And so I keep on telling them, we'll come back as soon as you build me a computer lab that allows our online kids to come in and study, and you give us enough watch care. Because in the best of circumstances, whenever we are meeting in person, we have a waiting list for our watch care. So this is gonna be a little crazy, trying to bring people back and trying to figure out accommodations for those kids, because that's a priority. Not to mention our volunteers who may not be having their children go back to school, though there's new things that are happening for us all the time. It's, Gumby is definitely the operative body configuration. So we may have some kids going back and some as late as February. So this is just really fun. We are supported around our town. There are a whole lot of churches that are seriously huge and robust and have women's ministry programs too. And so that is a challenge, but it's not really a challenge, I guess. People who know PWOC love PWOC and they come. We also have a very strong MOPS program that is heavily supported by our PWOC women. And just a shout out to Fort Jackson, one of the ways that we support MOPS is that many of our mentor moms for MOPS came from PWOC. And so they are pouring into those women and helping to bring them alongside us. So with that, I think that you can read the retreat. We're trying to figure out what to do with it. We're supposed to find out on the 20th whether we have money or not. And so there you go. That's for Belvoir.
Thank you. You are doing an awesome job leading our group. Appreciate it. And still in Virginia, but moving down a little further south. Ashley, take it away.
Hi, so I'll have to say I'm a little nervous. So I just heard about PWOC last year. It was the first time I ever heard of it. And so I'm really grateful to be here and learn so much from you. I have a ton of notes. So you can go to the next slide and I'll tell you about our group here. We have about 30 to 40 women in our group, and that's actually a little bigger than last year. We've tried to utilize having things online and it being a little more available for people who aren't either comfortable getting out or who can't get out because we are virtual school here. We're currently doing 2 different studies, Finding God Faithful and then Jude. We have 3 Zoom studies. One of them is the Finding God Faithful, and then we actually have 2 for the Jude, and that's actually kind of been helpful. So if they miss one day, they can hop on the second day. What else? Currently, yes, we're having Zoom, I said that. We're hoping in the spring we can meet in person. We did have our fall kickoff, and it was a drive-through. 3 or 4 days before we were having our kickoff, the chapel actually said they would allow us to come inside. So instead of changing everything we'd already planned, we just went ahead and we did the drive-through kickoff. And then if they felt comfortable, they could park. And then we did a 30-minute worship. We were only allowed to call it worship. It couldn't be kickoff. But we did a 30-minute worship in the chapel after that. And that went really well. There were 5 to 10 new people who drove through. We didn't know who they were. We weren't expecting them. And that was so great because we got to meet them. We had the little bags to hand out. And that just included their study, a pin, a bookmark that we made with the theme of one, and something else. Oh, a little CD devotional. So that is what we did for our kickoff. You can go to the next slide. So something that's going well for us is we call it our WOC room. We call it WOC because there are a few Catholics in our group. So I don't know if that's normal. Like I said, I just heard about this last year. This is our virtual room. And what a virtual room is, I base it off of a virtual classroom. So basically what you do, it's just a slideshow and it links you to other things. So the reason I thought of this or came up with this was I knew there were going to be a lot of links. There were going to be multiple emails, different YouTube videos, different studies. So I just wanted to come up with one area, especially for people who aren't tech savvy, which I know maybe it seems like you should be tech savvy to do this, but have everything in one place so that they can just come here. And what it is just clickable links. And actually Margaret helped me out and she made another slide. So if you want to go to that, it's kind of explains what you do. So you see the main slide is what you do. And then you can click on each thing. So like prayer request, current news, you can click on each of the Bible study pictures and that'll take you to their information for the week. The little camera the little picture in the bottom was just an introduction to the executive board because some people hadn't met us in person. The radio is the person giving the devotional for the week. The microphone is songs of the week. The Bible is scripture. And then the little Facebook thing, that'll actually take you right to the Facebook page. Some of the older ladies, not to be rude, but didn't have a Facebook or couldn't find it, or were finding multiple things. So that takes them straight to the Facebook page so they don't get confused. So she showed on the other side, like you click on, so say you click on current news, so that'll take you to the slide that is the current news. So I just called it current news. It's really announcements, but that wouldn't fit in the picture frame. So it's called current. And then on each slide, there's a little picture at the bottom right corner, and that takes them back to the main slide that has all the clickable links on it. So I've already gotten a couple emails actually about this, how to make it, how I get it out to the women. So I am actually just going to make a video after we get done here, and I'm going to post it on YouTube, and then I'll send you guys the link so I don't have to take up more of your time. And that's it.
Thank you. Interactive slideshow. Love it. And I apologize for clearing my throat and not realizing my microphone was still on. Hate these allergies. Moving on to probably our people in the coldest area, I guess. Fort McCoy, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Angie Faber, and I am acting as president right now at Fort McCoy in Wisconsin. We are kind of like some of the others. We are new to this, and we are trying to get our PWOC up and running. We had a PWOC before that was a very small group and wasn't running the way that a typical PWOC does. So we are trying to get it up and get it running and get a board and get everything going forward. What we are doing right now is we did a drive-by kickoff. We had about 5 women that came through, and we were blessed by that. PWOC here in the past has only been 3 ladies, so any growth that we can see is a blessing. We meet on Thursday evenings, and we are currently meeting in person. We are meeting in the chapel at Fort McCoy, and we are social distancing. We have about 10 ladies that come in person, and we usually have 2 or 3 that come in virtual, and we do not have Zoom set up yet, so we are doing Facebook Messenger right now. We are just trying to work with what we have. We do have a great support system right now. We have the garrison chaplain, who is Robert Rand, and he is on here with me as well, and his wife, Sarah Rand, that is working as VP of Spiritual Life. And we have a PWOC chaplain advisor, who is Wynn Hutchinson, and his wife, Catherine, is also another person that is helping get this established and get everything kicked off. She's kind of working as our admin right now. Again, we did the kickoff drive-by in September. We did that in the parking lot at our RSO, and we gave away goodie bags for the ones that came through. We are a red area as well with COVID right now, so trying to be creative in how we handle this, and with starting it completely new, there's a lot of obstacles that we're coming across. Upcoming events, well, that's to be announced. First, we're trying to get our board in place. And right now, like I said, we've got 10 ladies that are coming in person. So with that happening, we feel like within the next couple weeks, we can get a board in place. The communication is wonderful that we're having. There's great discussions, and the participation is doing really well. So we are continuing with our number of 10 ladies. So the struggling and concerns, well, technical issues with virtual members. Like I said, we're using Facebook Messenger. We're just using God's grace to get us through this process right now. And of course with COVID, because we'll go into the pink, and then the next thing you know, we're into the red again. I know a lot of you have been praying for us as we try to get this started, and we appreciate all your prayers. Again, like I said, the Bible study we're doing is We Saved You a Seat, and it's finding and keeping
lasting friendships, and that seems to be a really good place for us to start right now at PWOC at Fort McCoy, since everything is new and we're starting out from scratch. So again, thank you for your time, and it was great to see so many familiar faces and get some great ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.